Part 60. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 592. Rudolph asked Mackenzie to inform all crew members that Golden Anchor Harbor was very safe and that everyone could go ashore to rest after making arrangements. The crew members who are accustomed to docking at pirate ports rarely come to such a large port controlled by the God's chosen apostle, and they are still a little uncomfortable seeing the smooth stone road. Their first goal when they came ashore was the bathhouse, which they longed for even more than the tavern. Of course, whether this bathhouse was serious or not was unclear. Rudolph, Yvonne, Cooper, Drake, and others went to the Golden Anchor Castle to rest under the personal guidance of Butler Wendler. Compared with the Alchemist City, this city does not have so many street lights and public motorcycles. The buildings are actually taller and more willing to invest in them. The tall and majestic Golden Anchor Castle appears at the end of the field of vision. On the other side of the moat is the castle of the Golden Anchor family. The black city wall is covered with red copper-colored alchemical copper wires. These alchemical copper wires are swimming with electric light and are actually in an excited state. The black stone walls represent tradition, and the golden and red copper wires represent modernity. The knights standing on the city wall represent tradition, and the thick city defense guns represent modernity. This castle actually began to take on a cyberpunk style. In fact, the real defense force of the castle is the Marquis' Golden Anchor Knights. Once the knights are destroyed, the castle will be just a dead thing and cannot resist for long. The symbolic significance of this castle is greater than its actual significance. Butler Wendler said that the logistics were tight, and even a lower standard banquet would be enough to fill a 10-meter-long table with food and fine wine. To Rudolph's surprise, the banquet started with Kedrick's mother coming to see Rudolph in person. In the aristocratic inheritance law, illegitimate children have no inheritance rights. Only children born to noble wives have inheritance rights, and daughters also have inheritance rights. Kedrick is the fourth heir to the Marquis of Golden Anchor, which means that he is the fourth child born to the Marquis wife. The Marquise was already quite old. She was dressed up to attend. The first glass of wine was to thank Rudolph for helping her youngest son to be promoted and become a young fifth-level knight. Kedrick has obtained such strong foreign aid, which is something the Golden Anchor family likes to see. The Marquise had a simple meal, and after taking 2 bites, she left the banquet hall on the grounds that she was not feeling well, and asked Butler Wendler to entertain the distinguished guests. As soon as the Marchioness left, the pirates in the banquet hall became much more natural. Rudolph watched as Mackenzie and the first mate feasted, drinking from large glasses and shaking the red wine in the glasses with a smile. He turned to Steward Wendler and whispered, "Steward Wendler, before we finish transporting the supplies from Coderport, I hope you can cooperate with me in a play." "Oh? What show?" Butler Wendler was very interested when he heard about the acting. The last big drama led by the Forge was The Giant Treasure. The truth about the giant treasure was slowly revealed. There was no treasure at all. It was the Forge hunting for relics, which made the pirates on the ancient sea happy in vain. The real treasure must be it was collected in advance by the furnace. Butler Wendler knew about Mr. Forge's reputation. The wizards of the ancient sea would say that Mr. Forge was a despicable person. Eric the Red also proved that this rumor was true. Rudolph turned his head and motioned to the intelligence leader Zachary to come closer. Butler Wendler understood that what the furnace was about to say might be related to intelligence. "Butler Wendler, I hope you can cooperate with me and spread a message in the ancient sea, saying that the Golden Anchor family has taken out a precious level 8 alchemy bullet and handed it to the furnace. The specific words don't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's thanking Kedrick for helping Kedrick, maintaining the friendship between the Golden Anchor family and the furnace, or entrusting me with transporting logistical supplies. Even if you spread the news and say that you never gave me a level 8 alchemy bullet, it's fine." Butler Wendler understood what Rudolph meant. "Mr. Furnace, do you want both sides of the ancient sea to pay attention to whether you have a level 8 alchemy bullet?" Yes, it doesn't matter whether I have level 8 alchemy bullets. It is very important for others to discuss whether I have level 8 alchemy bullets. As long as they discuss it, they will doubt whether I really have it. For me, this is enough. Butler Wendler said with a smile, I understand, level 8 alchemy bullets are most powerful when they are not fired. Rudolph smiled and said, exactly. What I want is deterrence. Everyone knows that I am the Southern Cross assassin. If I want, I can assassinate anyone. If I have a level 8 alchemy bullet in my hand, if the evil god cult wants to target me, it will have to dispatch a level 8 cardinal priest. No matter which church, there are very few cardinal priests. If a cardinal priest leaves the temple, then I think a level 7 knight will not miss this opportunity for promotion. There are many people who want to kill an 8th level cardinal priest. The cost of their witch hunt will be very high, and I will be safer in front of the evil cult. Rumors are also part of strength, especially rumors that make others believe and fear you. I understand, Mr. Furness. Please rest assured that we will cooperate with your intelligence leader to let the north and south sides of the Sarago Sea begin to discuss the issue of level 8 alchemical bullets, Steward Wendler said. What makes me feel ashamed is that we do not have level 8 alchemy bullets. I will pay attention to the news about level 8 alchemy bullets and apply for help from the royal family to obtain a level 8 alchemy bullet for you to use. Thank you very much. Whether Butler Wendler's last polite words were genuine or not, it was enough if they were willing to spread the news that Rudolph needed. In this way, the Volcano Shipping Co., Limited, just established by Rudolph, will become safer, and ordinary cats and dogs will not come to trouble. Butler continued, if you are considering your shipping company, I suggest you register it formally in Golden Anchor Port. Rudolph said, formal registration? I'm sorry, I just have this plan, and I don't know much about the specifics. Zachary added quickly, Captain, if you pay taxes to Golden Anchor Port after formal registration, you can run a shipping company normally, instead of doing what pirates did before. I see, then register. Rudolph asked again, if I go to the port of the Alchemy Council, do I have to register and pay taxes to them? Butler nodded. The rules for sailing on Sarago are like this: formally register at the port, pay taxes once when leaving the port, and pay taxes again when entering the port. In other words, I have to pay taxes twice for making money once. Isn't this robbing money? It sounds unreasonable, but it is true. Mr. Furness, we can exempt you from taxes for transporting military supplies this time, and we will also pay you a generous reward. That's great. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 593. Starting from the Golden Anchor Port, a rumor spread around that the Golden Anchor family gave a precious level 8 alchemical bullet to the Furnace as a reward for the Furnace's firm standing by the Golden Anchor family in several naval battles and helping the fourth son of the Marquis to be successfully promoted to a level 5 knight. Of course, this is just a rumor. The Golden Anchor Castle once came forward to clarify that they definitely did not hide a level 8 alchemical bullet. No family would admit that they privately hid a level 8 alchemical bullet, which was a deadly weapon needed to assassinate high-level officials. As Rudolph said, the clarification of the Golden Anchor family would only increase the credibility of this rumor. The speed of this news spread so quickly that news involving the Furnace was big news and was taken seriously by major forces. A short time later, the intelligence personnel of the evil god cult sent this news to the temple in the southern continent. On White Knight Island, the level 7 white demon priest Jacob listened to the report of his subordinate priests and remained silent. The level 8 alchemical bullet, his revenge plan that had just begun, came to an abrupt end. As a level 7 priest, even with a new artifact to protect him, the cunning Furnace could find his weakness and kill him with a sneak attack of level 8 alchemical bullets. The Furnace's absolute hit ability that was far beyond common sense made Jacob's scalp numb when he thought about it, so much so that he always carried the golden mask of the sun god with him, fearing that a high-level alchemical bullet would suddenly fly from somewhere. Without the artifact, he would die. It was a long time before he told the priest in charge of intelligence, the cardinal priest will consider the furnace and arrange for the believers to cross the north first. There are more than a dozen ships at the port of White Knight Island, and they will transport believers to Baida Road. These ships are just the first batch of ships in the early stage. There will be a steady stream of ships coming in the future. The church will choose a hidden route to send the priests and believers of the White Demon Church to the northern continent. Their strategy has not changed. Since it is difficult to defeat the navy of the northern continent on the front battlefield, they will rely on a large number of believers to start a war of faith. When the faith spreads enough and the northern continent has enough believers, the knights and alchemists will become commanders without troops and have to surrender to the church. In Navali Port, the 7th-level annihilation priest Canute put down the intelligence in his hand, frowned and remained silent for a long time. His plan to wash away the shame cannot be implemented. If the furnace has a level 8 alchemical bullet, then the plan he prepared will not be feasible, and his life will be fatally threatened. The furnace is so cunning and his fighting style is shameless that Canute can't come up with any good solution. This is even more so now that the furnace has a level 8 alchemical bullet. The cost of dealing with the furnace has increased. The furnace can die 20 times, and 20 times is just the number of times tested now. In fact, the number of times the furnace is reborn from the fire is still a mystery. Canute can only die once. The Lord of Nothingness does not have the power of the God of Death and cannot resurrect the dead priest. In the dock of Golden Anchor Port, with the assistance of the technicians of the Golden Anchor family, the transformation of the volcano and the giant is proceeding in an orderly manner. The transformation of the volcano is mainly to eliminate the traces of pirate ships and make the ship more like a merchant ship. The previous black background with red patterns has been changed to white background, and there are only volcanic patterns on the bow and stern. The transformation of the giant is relatively large. Of the 3 rows of cannons on the side, the lower 2 rows have been removed, and the extra 2-story cabins are used to carry passengers or as cargo holds. Only the bow gun and the stern gun are retained on the deck, and the remaining positions are welded with cargo box fixing frames to hold more cargo boxes. After the transformation, the giant became an armed merchant ship, and it is the largest armed merchant ship on the Sarago Sea. There are many flags on the sea ship. The largest flags are the flags of Volcano Shipping Co., Limited, with a red Sarago Sea outline on a black background, indicating that this company is engaged in shipping trade. The initials of Volcano Shipping are written inside the outline of the ancient sea. The black capital letters echo the black background of the flag, which is simple and highly recognizable. In addition to the company flag, there are many other flags. For example, after obtaining certification in Golden Anchor Port, the flag of Golden Anchor Port will be hoisted. The flag of the giant with a white cross represents that the ship was seized from the giant Roberts. The volcano flag with a black background, red mountain, red smoke and clouds, and the green skull flag with a black background, green skull, only hoist one side, proving their past and openly admitting that they were pirates before. The volcano, as an armed escort ship, the giant, as an armed merchant ship, and the 5 cargo ships of the Golden Anchor Castle left Golden Anchor Port loaded with cargo. At the port, Steward Wendler watched the fleet go away, and the anxiety of the past few days was finally relieved. A fleet with a furnace will definitely be able to deal with many accidents on the route. Apart from the official forces, there is no stronger person than the furnace. The furnace can do anything that the official is not convenient to do. The furnace can even go to the port controlled by the Elba Alchemy Council, because he is a free man, but he has a better relationship with the Golden Anchor family, which does not affect his free access to various ports. Smoke or steam came out of the chimneys of the ships, and several ships began to sail. The northern waters of the Sarago Sea are still somewhat orderly now. Most of this voyage is in the waters of the Elba nobles, and the main danger comes from the southern waters. Wherever the evil god cult expands its sphere of influence, it is like a black hole. They refuse to communicate with others because the doctrine states that anyone who does not believe in the evil god is a pagan who should go to hell. On the deck of the volcano, Mackenzie was giving a lecture. We are no longer pirates. We must change our identities as soon as possible. Defending the pirate port will only make us the focus of the evil god cult. If you want to survive and make money, then be a good employee of the shipping company. Where are your hats? Why don't you wear the company's standard hats? Just when Mackenzie was giving a lecture, the navigator pilot suddenly walked out of the bridge and shouted, "First Mate Mackenzie! Go and inform the captain." A pirate ship appeared on the south side. Not long after, the enthusiastic captain of the Furnace came to the bridge. He looked at the position of the pirate ship marked by pilot on the nautical chart and said happily, "When we were pirates, we were law-abiding and never robbed merchant ships. Now we are merchant ships, can we let go and rob pirates?" Seeing Captain Furnace's cheerful look, the crew finally saw that the captain had come to their senses. The Furnace pirates were so powerful, but they had never robbed. Now they can finally use their strength to rob others. Mackenzie explained, "Captain, the pirates come from the sea controlled by the evil god cult in the south. The evil god cult has cracked down on all pirates, but there will be no power vacuum. New pirates will appear in those seas. They will only plunder to the north due to the threat of the evil god cult. If the official navy does not get involved, someone will discover every sea area. Plunder is the most efficient way to get rich. Since new pirates have emerged there, let them see the strength of the last generation of big pirates." Rudolph asked happily, "How long will it take them to get there?" "Captain, according to their speed, we still have half an hour if we don't slow down." "Don't be so obvious, don't slow down, pretend you don't know them, give them a surprise." The captain said not to be so obvious, but the smile on the captain's face was about to overflow, and the happiness was too obvious. "Right, right. Hurry up and lower our pirate flags. Don't let them find us. It will be bad if they recognize us. Both ships have been modified, and they don't fly pirate flags. The pirates on the opposite side should not be afraid." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 594. Captain. Big fish. A big fat fish. The pirate ship's lookout kept shouting. He stood on the observation platform of the mast and told the captain below about his discovery. This pirate ship is a sail steamship, with both sails and steam engines. It is the first generation of steamship developed by the alchemist and is almost scrapped. The pirate captain was originally a subordinate of Morgan, the port disaster. After Morgan surrendered to the Elba nobles, many of his subordinates left Morgan's pirate group, adhered to the pirate tradition, and continued to plunder on the Sarago Sea. Their ship is very old. Morgan took away most of the ships and wealth of the original pirate group. They only stole an old sail steamship. Many big pirates started plundering by driving a small boat. Compared with a small boat, this ship gave these pirates a much higher starting point. What a big fish! 7 cargo ships, one of which is very, very big, but only one armed escort ship. 7 cargo ships, one armed escort ship? Are you sure? Yes, Captain, absolutely not wrong. What flag is on the ship? The lookout looked through the telescope and saw that the big flag on the armed escort ship was a shipping company flag he didn't recognize. The lookout said with certainty, "Captain. It's not the most famous shipping companies, but a newly established shipping company. This is the first time I've seen their flag." Hearing this, the captain of the pirate ship understood that this was simply a prey tailor-made for their new pirate group. A stupid rich businessman formed a new shipping company after hearing that the big pirates had been destroyed. This shipping company only had one armed escort ship, but 7 cargo ships, which just made their new pirate group make a lot of money to alleviate the panic and lack of confidence of the pirates after leaving the port disaster Morgan. The pirate captain was a level 4 knight. He excitedly shouted to his men. The last generation of great pirates died or surrendered, and the evil god navy also retreated to their respective ports. Now there is a vacuum on the Sarago Sea. There are no great pirates, no navy, and everything here belongs to us new pirates. The big fish in front actually only brought one escort ship. Oh my god, do they think that without the great pirates, the Sarago Sea will become a calm inland lake? Our famous battle is right in front of us. Let them see the strength of the new great pirates. Let them have to bring 3 escort ships every time they leave the port. When the goddess of luck favors you, even the sea breeze is helping you. The pirate ship with full sails catches the most wind, and the wind blows them towards the merchant fleet. Everything is so smooth. Behind the captain are the knights who made mistakes in the family and were expelled, the illegitimate children of nobles who were ignored, and the small nobles who committed crimes and went to prison. These people will become the new great pirates and pirate groups on the Sarago Sea step by step under the leadership of the captain. As for the strength of the armed escort ship, it is not considered by these desperate knights. The great knight ancestors, the knights of the Round Table, weren't they just a group of robbers who followed the knight leader to wield heavy swords? As long as you survive in life-threatening battles, you can grow into the greatest sea knight. The pirate ship was getting faster and faster, and the old steam turbine burst out with output power close to the limit, smoke billowed, and the whistle resounded across the sea. Soon, the flags on those merchant ships could be seen with the naked eye. The main flag on the armed escort ship was indeed a shipping company flag that had never been seen before. Judging from the new appearance of the flag, it must be a newly established shipping company. It was just the shape of this ship that surprised the pirate captain. Although the paint was white and it looked like a regular escort ship, the ship shape was closer to the ship of the trapped church. Could this shipping fleet have the background of the evil god cult? After rushing to the near side, the pirate captain saw that the other side was not panicked at all, as if he didn't see the pirate ship so close, but began to raise the flag on the deck, and several flags slowly rose. A secondary flag that was originally rolled up came into the pirate captain's sight. It was a flag with a red volcano and red smoke on a black background. It was a flag that the pirate captain remembered in his mind. Volcano flag. The flag of the volcano in the Great Pirate Furnace pirate group. If the volcano was here, then. The pirate captain did not see the Green Skull, a unique galley ship because of its antiquity, but he saw the Green Skull flag with a black background, the Green Skull flag. A bad premonition arose in his heart. The pirate captain understood that other fleets would not inexplicably hang the flags of the 2 great pirates unless they had some connection with the 2 great pirates. Until he recognized the exaggeratedly huge ship, it was clearly the disguised appearance of the giant. The volcano never plundered, and the inactivity of the volcano made other pirates seldom see it, but the giant could not be mistaken, even if the ship had undergone a major transformation, even if the ship had removed most of its artillery, but the huge size still made the pirate captain recognize it at a glance. This is the giant. More details came into the pirate captain's view. The giant flag with a white cross proved that the big ship was the pirate group's spoils. From these details, the pirate captain had guessed a terrible fact. The fleet in front of him was not from a newly established shipping company, but from the disguised Furnace pirates. Despicable Furnace. This is another prank of Despicable Furnace. If Rudolph knew that this pirate had given him a new title, the Ugly Vile Furnace, Rudolph would definitely slap him to death. Rudolph looked at the sail steamer rushing over with interest, thinking that this pirate captain must be a knight, and only knights like to rush over so recklessly. A hazy white light lit up on the bow of the pirate ship, and it was indeed a knight. The pirate captain's adrenaline surged, and his ship could no longer turn. This was the first and most important battle after leaving the Morgan pirates, and it was the most important battle of his pirate group. The Night Ancestor was blessing his illegitimate offspring, and the pirate captain must not admit defeat at this time. A hissing snake suddenly sounded on the sea, and a huge purple nine-headed snake appeared on the sea. "Mackenzie, you said this ship has no value for prisoners, right?" "Yes, Captain, even as a cargo ship, its performance is too poor." The pirate ship was greeted by three hideous and terrifying snake heads. The three snake heads, with huge kinetic energy and two beams of purple poisonous gas hanging from the corners of their mouths, smashed fiercely at the pirate ship. Looking at the snake heads of the giant beast, the pirate captain suddenly realized his stupidity. He had discovered that the opponent might be the Furnace pirates, but he still tried to challenge the Furnace. Wouldn't it be better to surrender? Is this the strength of the Furnace? A miserable howl came out of the pirate captain's throat, and the guardian chains behind him sucked the ultimate power without scruples. His knight's lance had never been so sharp. Facing the huge snake head, the pirate captain threw his peak attack. On the deck behind him, all the knights and crew members had fallen down. They had no armor on them, leaving their mummified bodies exposed. A level 4 knight has the combat power of a level 5 master and apprentice, and the lance thrown by the pirate captain is definitely at the level of a level 6 master and apprentice. Pirate captain, promoted. Rudolph's pupils suddenly contracted and his hair stood on end. It was not because a knight was promoted on the battlefield. The nine-headed beast Hydra was very strong. The newly promoted level 5 knight could not be a match for Hydra. When the three snake heads smashed, one snake head was stopped by the knight's spear, and the other two snake heads were smashed by a circle of violent eruption of flames. Rudolph would not be wrong. Lion King Spark. There was a wizard standing at the stern. A fire wizard. That was another wizard's Lion King Spark. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 595. I been promoted. I been promoted. The pirate captain fell into ecstasy. He raised his second knight's gun and waved his arms wildly up and down, and his excited voice resounded across the sea. The three huge snake heads collapsed, and the poison was melted by the inexplicable heat. The pirate captain realized that the promoted level 5 knight was so strong that the attack made the level 6 wizard's starlight creation return in vain. He didn't even notice the flames coming from behind him, thinking that everything was done by him. The three snakeheads were reborn with the supplement of starlight, but they were suppressed in momentum, making the pirate captain feel that he was so powerful. Furnace. I don't need to be afraid of you now. I'm a level 5 knight, and my combat power is at the same level as yours. A large group of people were lying behind the pirate captain, and his knights and crew members died in large numbers. Now there are only 5 people who can still stand. The condition of these 5 people was also very bad. They didn't expect that the captain's demands just now were so fierce that they became skinny. Especially one of the fat guys, his skin, which was originally filled with fat, suddenly lost its support, and the skin shrank. His cheeks, chin, chest, and stomach were all covered with ugly wrinkles, just like a person who lost 50 pounds in a week due to excessive weight loss. The ship was useless, and there were only 5 weak men and a small number of crew members under the deck, so it was impossible to start the ship. The newly promoted pirate captain was immersed in the joy of promotion and would not think about these trivial matters. The guarding chain tightened again, making the faces of the 5 pirate men tight and their faces paler. Furnace. I'm here to challenge you. I'm going to use a level 6 knight's javelin to let you know how powerful the knight is. His shouting became more and more abrupt, and even the knight behind him noticed the weirdness. The wizard on the armed escort ship, the wizard who had just summoned the terrifying starlight beast, didn't even look at the pirate captain. The pirate captain called him the Furnace. Is that the Furnace? Black hair, young appearance, is that the famous furnace on the Sarago Sea? But what was Furnace looking at? Others followed Furnace's line of sight and found that at some point, a wizard in a white sheepskin robe stood at the stern. The man at the stern was a wizard at first glance. Only Ares wizards like to wear heavy sheepskin robes with a golden ram's head on the robe. The curved and thick horns on the ram's head were full of power. The wizard had golden hair combed back. He was about 40 years old and had a delicate goatee with the tip of the beard curled up. The pirate captain finally noticed that the surroundings were abnormally quiet. He also turned his head along Furnace's line of sight and saw the wizard at the stern. He was very sure that this wizard was not from his pirate group. He had never seen this subordinate before. Ivan had never seen Rudolph so serious before. Rudolph stared at the wizard at the opposite stern. Rudolph lowered his head and hid behind the railing. A revolver appeared in his hand. He squinted his eyes and rubbed the trigger. He seemed ready to fight with all his strength at any time. The wizard at the stern was not nervous at all, but just looked at Rudolph calmly. The pirate ship was shorter than the volcano. The wizard at the stern looked up at Rudolph, but Rudolph knew that he was at a disadvantage in terms of momentum. The atmosphere became solidified. Everyone else saw that the furnace was facing a great enemy. The enemy that the furnace took so seriously was obviously not an ordinary wizard. At this moment, the pirate captain suddenly shouted, "Furnace, your enemy is me." Until this time, the pirate captain was still dreaming of becoming famous in one battle. He would step on the furnace and become the new big pirate on the Sarago Sea. The wizard at the stern finally turned his sight. He felt that this stupid and reckless knight was very noisy. The wizard at the stern waved his hand, and Rudolph's slightly narrowed eyes opened instantly. He was not mistaken. Just now, the wizard at the stern used sparks. And it was a spark of a higher level than Rudolph's sparks. Pure white sparks, burning silently, burning on the back of the pirate captain. The sparks that Rudolph now controls are yellow-white. The temperature of pure white sparks is higher than yellow-white. It is the color that will be available at the next level after the spark is promoted. Level 7 sparks, the wizard in front of him is at least a level 7 wizard. The pirate captain's attention has been focused on the furnace. He never thought that the attack came from behind. When he turned around, he was instantly cold and shrouded in despair. After he turned around, he found that the knights who were still alive under his command were burning with silent white flames all over their bodies until their heads were burned out. These men died without making any sound. The white flames burned so cleanly that even the ashes could not be seen. I don't know how high the temperature of this white flame is. The pirate captain's eyelids were stimulated, and he instinctively blinked because he saw white flames burning in front of him, burning his nose, burning his eyelashes, and the same white flames appeared on his head. Before he died, he was very confused. Why was he burned to death? Who is the wizard at the stern? After burning the pirate captain who just shouted and was a little noisy, the wizard at the stern said, "Rudolph the Furnace, I need to talk to you about something." "Okay, let's talk." This powerful wizard who mastered the forbidden fire technique and used the forbidden fire technique more easily than Rudolph made Rudolph feel a strong sense of crisis. Rudolph felt that he was Li Gui who met Li Kuei. His forbidden technique came from the star map, and the forbidden technique of the wizard in front of him was more likely to come from the creator of the forbidden technique, which was the level 9 Zodiac wizard. Since he wants to talk, Rudolph is willing to talk too. Under the death cycle, Rudolph felt that he could drag it out for a long time, but it was best not to keep resurrecting from the ashes. After the sonic boom flashed, Rudolph appeared on the bow of the pirate ship. The Starlight South ship appeared outside the pirate ship, leading the ship quickly to the distance, creating an uninterrupted space for the two of them to talk. Ivan and others looked worriedly at Rudolph who was walking away, wondering what the wizard wanted to talk to Rudolph about. Mackenzie and the others whispered quietly. Do you recognize the wizard's clothes? The golden sheep head is the symbol of which force? I don't know. It's so strange. At least it's not a force on the Saragosi. Otherwise, it's impossible that we don't know each other. The discussion among the people was fruitless because the wizard was too powerful and beyond the cognitive boundaries of ordinary pirates. Someone actually poked his head out of the cabin, wanting to see what happened to his fellow pirates outside. The wizard at the stern of the ship felt that those people poking their heads were very annoying. He waved his hand, and a white fire lit up at the entrance to the cabin. If Rudolph guessed correctly, the crew below the deck were also burned to death. While Rudolph was waiting for the wizard on the other side to speak, he saw the corpse on the deck disappear, not even leaving any relics, and it was completely burned. This wizard is extraordinary. What kind of identity and background does he have? He doesn't even care about relics. Unlike Rudolph, if Rudolph dealt with this ship of pirates, he would keep the relics anyway. Especially the level 5 night relic throwing spear. There is a flash of blue light in the white spark, the apostle power in the relic is destroyed by the spark. Waste, what a waste, that is a level 5 night relic. After the pirate ship walked some distance away, the wizard on the stern said, "Forge, on behalf of the pillars of creation, I warn you that your actions have affected our plans." Pillars of creation? Rudolph thought quickly in his mind, but he didn't know what the pillars of creation were. Could it be the name of the organization where the wizard in front of him belonged? Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 596. The Pillars of Creation, as far as Rudolph knows, is a very spectacular deep space nebula. In the dreamy columnar nebulae, there are a lot of gas and dust floating, and the interaction of gravity and high temperature inside gives birth to countless stars. Give birth, Rudolph suddenly grasped a key point. Aries, a constellation representing new life. The first wizard, the first immortal, are both Aries wizard Ptolemy. Rudolph has heard many legends about Aries wizard Ptolemy, but he didn't expect that he would most likely meet a wizard related to Aries wizard Ptolemy here. The pillars of creation, giving birth to stars, and the ram head on the wizard's robe, it is almost certain that the wizard in front of him and Aries wizard Ptolemy are inseparable from Ptolemy, the lord of Mars who has achieved immortality. Just now, the wizard said that Rudolph delayed the plan of the pillar of creation. After his expression changed, Rudolph said, "Respected Aries wizard, I wonder how I delayed your plan." The wizard on the opposite side smiled, and seemed not surprised that the furnace guessed some information. "It didn't delay my plan, but delayed the plan of the pillar of creation," he said. "Furnace, my name is Nadab, and I am a level 7 wizard of the pillar of creation. I won't beat around the bush with you. The Pillar of Creation is a wizard organization established by the Aries wizard Ptolemy more than 2,000 years ago. We are the followers of immortality and the spokespersons of the Lord of Mars walking on the earth. The Pillar of Creation represents the will of the Lord of Mars. Furnace, you are an extremely talented wizard, or you have mastered the inheritance of a top wizard, or you are also a follower of some unknown immortality. We don't want to delve into these, and it's not worth our time. In-depth investigation. I came here to warn you that your actions caused the evil god cult to choose a war of faith instead of relying on the church army to defeat the northern continent. Don't affect the situation of Saragosi anymore. Phoenix Wizard is a fire wizard. Your trump card is not a trump card in front of the Pillar of Creation. Because we suspect that you are also a follower of immortality, we only came to warn you the first time. If you continue to delay our plan, your follower status cannot protect you." The Aries wizard named Nadab smiled and stared at the furnace. He didn't care whether the furnace would accept their warning. His body suddenly began to turn white, and then white sparks emerged. In a flash, Nadab disappeared at the stern with flames all over his body. This is also a threat. Aries wizard Nadab will not listen to the furnace's sophistry. If the Ares wizard comes a second time, it will not be a warning, but an annihilation. Whether it is the use of forbidden spell sparks or this way of exiting, it shows to Rudolph that this Ares wizard has a much more mature grasp of the fire forbidden spell than him. The air was filled with heat. Rudolph stood at the bow and had not yet reacted. He thought they would have a confrontation and negotiations, but the Ares wizard did not want to say anything more. It seemed that he was very sure that as long as he warned Rudolph, Rudolph would listen. Do they underestimate Rudolph so much? They were right to underestimate him. Rudolph was indeed a little flustered. It can be said that the entire wizard promotion system was opened up by Ptolemy and was the first to be created by Ptolemy. Facing the pillar of creation, how could Rudolph not be careful and cautious? He kept thinking about Nadab's warning just now, and his heart was mixed with mixed feelings. The amount of information in this warning was so huge that Rudolph thought about it for a long time, recalling and analyzing it sentence by sentence, and sorted out some key information. The first key information is that the tense situation on both sides of the Sarago Sea is now pushed by someone behind the scenes. The civil war in the kingdom of Elba is not only because of the irreconcilable contradictions between the knights and the alchemists, but also because someone hopes that a war will happen here. This civil war suddenly broke out from a black swan event. The fuse of the civil war was the death of the heir of a nobleman in an assassination with an alchemical bullet, followed by an investigation that alarmed the top leaders of both sides. The investigation results pointed to a deputy speaker, and then a fierce conflict broke out between the local nobles and the parliament. The nobles rushed into the parliament and directly arrested the deputy speaker. Then the contradiction expanded. I don't know when it started. The nobles rushed into the local parliament with cavalry and announced that they would take over the parliament, and then there was a vigorous restoration war. Mars is transliterated from Latin as Mars, the god of war in mythology, and Mars is the planet representing the god of war. The Lord of Mars, the eternal life of mastering the power of war. An Ares wizard, I don't know why he has to master the power of war. Can he breed what Ptolemy wants in war? War destroys everything. Perhaps only in complete ruins can new life be born. The civil war in Elba is a war, and there must be the shadow of the Lord of Mars in it. Since Ptolemy became the Lord of Mars and mastered the power of war, he can influence all wars in the world. Level 9 apostles are the pinnacle of the secular world, surpassing the immortality of level 9 apostles, and their abilities and influence are immeasurable. Ptolemy can not only influence the war himself, but it seems that he has also founded an organization of Ares wizards, the Pillar of Creation. From the description of the Ares wizard just now, the Pillar of Creation is not a low-end wizard organization like the ancient Sea Wizard Association, but a top wizard organization that serves immortality and implements the will of immortality. Rudolph suspected that there were wizards of the Pillar of Creation in the Elba Alchemy Council and the Elba royal family. When they arrived at the port of Cordur, they must inquire about these secrets through the side of the Marquis of Golden Anchor. The second key information is that Rudolph's recent behavior accidentally conflicted with the plan of the Pillar of Creation. The evil god cult is good at playing with faith, and their navy is relatively weak. Rudolph's several actions have hit the navy of the evil god cult. If the evil god cult navy has achieved good results after entering the war, then the evil god cult will continue to increase investment to make their navy stronger and stronger. Now, this process has been changed. The evil god cult found that they were not good at alchemical ships and naval battles, so they changed their plan and switched to a war of faith. Using believers to infiltrate first, preach in the northern continent, and then build temples in the areas controlled by believers is a common method used by the evil god cult. The main reason for the evil god cult to clean up the pirates is to ensure that the transportation of believers and low-level priests is not disturbed by pirates. This is what the Pillar of Creation does not want to see, or in other words, what the Lord of Mars who holds the power of war does not want to see. The Pillar of Creation needs war, and it needs wars of increasing intensity. The third key information is that the Pillar of Creation is planning something. The Lord of Mars and the Pillar of Creation would not push for a war out of boredom. Rudolf guessed that Ptolemy had already mastered the power of war. He continued to push for war, and his purpose must not be simply war. Just as Rudolf could accommodate the characteristics of several level 5 constellations, did Ptolemy want to master more power of immortality in the war? It is said that there are higher levels of existence above immortality. Is Ptolemy still pursuing progress? The fourth key information is that the Pillar of Creation believes that Rudolf the Crucible is a favored one of immortality. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 597. The followers of the Immortal represent the will of the Immortal. Rudolf was too active in the Saragosi. After mastering the abilities of several southern constellations, he was quickly promoted to a level 6 mid-sky wizard. This promotion speed is not like that of an ordinary wizard. In the eyes of the Pillar of Creation, there is a high possibility that there is an immortal behind the furnace, otherwise the furnace would not be able to master the 3 strongest constellations in the secret south sky, nor would it have forbidden techniques. From the fact that the Ares wizard Nadab deliberately used the forbidden technique Spark in front of Rudolf, the Pillar of Creation, a fire wizard organization, knew that Rudolf also mastered the forbidden fire technique. The forbidden fire technique is very powerful. Rudolf used the forbidden technique in several battles. This is one of Rudolf's strongest trump cards. He can't hide the fact that he mastered the forbidden fire technique. The Pillar of Creation believes that Rudolf's identity is not ordinary, and the person standing behind Rudolf is not ordinary. It was not Rudolf's ability that made the Pillar of Creation come to negotiate with him. For an organization like the Pillar of Creation, how strong could a level 6 wizard be? Moreover, the Pillar of Creation knew the secret of the Phoenix wizard very well. It was the immortality that might exist behind Rudolf that made the Pillar of Creation wary. I don't know whether I should be happy or not. The evil god Fraud believed that Rudolf was omniscient, and the Pillar of Creation believed that Rudolf was an immortal. The level of his participation was getting higher and higher, and his danger was getting greater and greater. Thinking of this, Rudolf suddenly felt that his means of saving his life were a little too few. Such a thin one was not enough. What should I do? He looked to the north. Should he be promoted to a level 7 wizard as soon as possible? He looked in the direction of the kingdom of Elba, and suddenly felt that both the nobles and the alchemists were a little pitiful. This war was not simple. War is not an accidental event. Every war can allow some people to profit from the war. Regarding the warning of the Pillar of Creation, Rudolf certainly chose to retreat to advance. Yes, the phrase retreat to advance is too accurate. Rudolf is not simply a coward. He is cowardly now in order to make further progress in the future. A man who can bend and stretch is a real man. Rudolf must find out the information and true purpose of the Pillar of Creation. They dared to threaten Rudolf, and Rudolf was actually threatened. Isn't he the protagonist of all stories? Doesn't the protagonist have face? Is the Pillar of Creation great? Think about it carefully, it is really great. I can't afford to offend it, at least not now. After the Ares wizard left, Rudolf looked in the pirate ship and found that there was no relic. Haha, the Pillar of Creation is a big family, and they don't know the value of relics at all. After getting nothing and being threatened, Rudolf asked the Starlight South ship to wrap the pirate ship and took the pirate ship back. Rudolf is back, and he is back with a relaxed look on his face. Cooper asked, Rudolf, what did the wizard say to you? Hey, nothing, just a friendly exchange between colleagues. He is a nice guy and gave me the pirate ship as a gift for getting to know each other. Cooper immediately realized the problem, in other words, he took the relics, and you took this shabby and outdated sail steam turbine pirate ship. Rudolph actually suffered a loss. It seems that the communication between colleagues is not friendly at all. Of course he didn't take the relics. You ask too many questions. Let's go and continue to Cotter Port. Only Ivan noticed that when no one was around, Rudolph's expression became serious again. I don't know what was bothering him, making him think so much that he forgot everything around him. Mackenzie and Pilot still wanted to argue whether the pirate ship was useful or not, and whether it should be towed back and sold. In the end, Captain Furness said that the ship must be towed back and sold. This is the first time the volcano has robbed, and it must not return empty-handed. Mackenzie and Pilot boarded the pirate ship and went into the cabin to check the situation inside. Not long after, the two came out with very ugly faces. There is not a single body, it is clean and empty, it is so terrible, as if everyone evaporated at the same time. A pirate ship without anyone on it makes people feel like walking in a ghost cave without people. The two arranged some sailors on the pirate ship, let the steam turbine continue to run, and followed the volcano. The volcano towed the underpowered pirate ship in front, followed by the giant and several cargo ships, and continued to sail towards the port of Quarter. The port of Quarter is located behind enemy lines. Once it leaves the waters controlled by the nobles, it is necessary to be careful of the sneak attack of the Constitutional Army Navy. The Royal Navy's Western Fleet and the Constitutional Army Navy have been competing for the control of the sea in the sea area, and battles of all sizes have never stopped. Soon, the fleet encountered 3 ships of the Constitutional Army. I don't know if it was a coincidence or the news of the Furness shipping fleet was exposed, so it encountered the Constitutional Army ships so early. Rudolph stood at the bow, waiting for the 3 black dots in the distance to approach. Captain, should we only do trade with the royal nobles, or should we also accept trade with the Elba Alchemy Council? Mackenzie looked at the unfriendly face of Captain Furness, fearing that Captain Furness would sink the 3 approaching constitutional warships if he disagreed with them. Your question is a good question. Rudolph understood what Mackenzie meant. Mackenzie was asking whether or not to break up with the Elba Navy. If they did, then sinking those 3 ships would be fine, and they would only do sea trade in the eastern waters of the Sarago Sea in the future. If they didn't want to break up, they should find a way to avoid direct conflict. When in the Eagle's Beak Peninsula, the Elba Alchemy Council and the Court of Inquisition showed an attitude of letting bygones be bygones. They did not want to fight to the death with the Furness. Rudolph also accepted their goodwill and could sit down and talk with Duke, the head of the Court of Inquisition of the Alchemy Council. When in Quarter Port before, Rudolph stood on the side of the Royal Navy to attack the Constitutional Army. At that time, the Constitutional Army did not take the Furness seriously. The Furness was just a level 4 wizard. After that, Rudolph was active in the Sarago Sea and did not directly increase the conflict with the Constitutional Army. Rudolph's enemies were mostly evil gods. Now that we meet the Elba Constitutional Army again, if we don't want to expand the contradictions and disputes, then we should not confront them head-on. This is better for the newly established Volcano Shipping Company, and it will not cut off the shipping company's trade possibilities in the area controlled by the Alchemy Council. With the status and reputation of the Furness, it is not impossible for it to be a big smuggler. Neither the Alchemy Council nor the nobles will take the Furness seriously because of the smuggling of the Furness's trading company. On the contrary, under special circumstances, they also need a smuggler with enough weight and trust to exchange what they have. Turn around, and show our attitude of avoiding war first. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 598. The volcano began to turn, leading the fleet to change course and move away from the Constitutional Army Navy. The fleet's attitude was obvious. Even if they turned back, they would not have a direct conflict with the Constitutional Army Navy. But the Constitutional Army still didn't understand who they were chasing. After chasing for 10 minutes, Rudolph was tired of being chased, and a huge purple snake suddenly emerged from the sea. The height of more than 200 meters, the ferocious snake head, and the semi-transparent purple starlight texture all proved that there was a powerful wizard on the shipping ship in front. Combined with the recent rumors on the Sarago Sea, the Constitutional Army Navy finally saw that there was a furnace Rudolph on the shipping ship. The captain was scared and broke into a cold sweat. They actually chased the furnace for 10 minutes. Why was the furnace so good-tempered? He felt that it was a bit fake. Stop! Stop! The captain quickly slowed down the ship, and then arranged the staff officer, look at what flags are on those shipping ships. After seeing the flag of the shipping company, the staff officer guessed. Major General, I suspect it is the abbreviation of volcano shipping. If that is really the starlight creation of the furnace, then this shipping company may really belong to the furnace. Captain. That armed escort ship is the modified volcano. The captain of the Major General quickly instructed the ship to retreat. It seems that the pirates have sought other ways out after being hit. Some died, and some defected to the North Continent. Pirates like Furnace established a shipping company. With his strength, his shipping company can go anywhere. Major General. We also saw the flag of Golden Anchor Port. These ships may have been sent from Golden Anchor Port. The captain frowned. Furnace's avoidance was a goodwill gesture, proving that he did not want to directly conflict with the Constitutional Army, but Furnace came out of Golden Anchor Port. Logically speaking, they had to not attack this freight fleet. Just when the captain was hesitating, his subordinates suddenly reported. The Royal Navy appeared at 9 o'clock. The captain quickly ordered, "Our patrol mission has long been over. There is no need to fight with the Royal Navy here. Retreat." The Constitutional Navy retreated quickly. The captain was not afraid of being held accountable by his superiors. Running away in front of the furnace was not considered fear of war. It was too stupid to be reprimanded by the superiors for charging at the furnace. The Royal Navy finally arrived late. If the supply ship was not escorted by the furnace, their supplies would have been fed to the fish long ago. On the Royal Navy ship, Caleb, the first heir to the Marquis of Golden Anchor, looked at the furnace's shipping fleet with a gloomy face. His dear brother, Kedrick, had been promoted to a level 5 knight with the help of the furnace, and he had not yet found an opportunity for promotion. At this time, the furnace escorted all the supplies, but Caleb had to put on a smile and greeted them. After Furnace was promoted to a level 6 wizard, Caleb no longer had the capital to be arrogant. Furnace is now the most important foreign aid of the Golden Anchor family, no one else. On the surface, 3 ships of the Royal Navy were escorting the shipping fleet, but in the eyes of the Royal Navy sailors, it was under the escort of the Volcano Shipping Company that their 3 Royal Navy ships returned safely to the port of Quarter. The sailors on the Royal Navy believed that it was so safe to sail in front of the volcano, whose captain was the great pirate Furnace. After entering the port, the officers of the logistics department could not wait to come to Rudolph to express their gratitude. From their excited expressions, it can be seen that this batch of military supplies is very important to them. Rudolph, accompanied by a group of officers, went to the Marquis's palace. The Marquis had already issued instructions that he would summon Furnace. The Marquis of Golden Anchor sent his castle steward, Windler, back to the fiefdom, proving that his logistics pressure was very high. Steward Windler completed the task perfectly. This time the logistics transportation was safely delivered because of the addition of Furnace. In the Earl's study, after a few pleasantries, Rudolph looked at Caleb. This look represented what was going to happen next, and Rudolph didn't want Caleb to hear it. The Marquis turned around and said, "Caleb, go and make sure the materials are put into the warehouse first." Although Caleb was unwilling in his heart, he couldn't have the slightest grievance on his face. He smiled and greeted Ronglu and left the Marquis' study. Rudolph really didn't target him. No matter who was in the Marquis' study today, Rudolph didn't want him to hear what he was going to say to the Marquis next. Seeing that Ronglu had something important to say, the Marquis was also very serious. This study was too big. It was the former meeting room of the city hall. After the sound of the door closing disappeared, Rudolph said, "My Lord Marquis, I want to inquire about a piece of news that I personally want to know very much." "Please go ahead, Mr. Furness." "I want to inquire whether there is any court teacher in the royal family who is an Aries wizard. It is very wrong for nobles to discuss the court teachers of the royal family in private, but the importance of Furness to the Golden Anchor family now made the Marquis have no hesitation. The Marquis was ready to tell Furness everything he knew. He rang the bell on the table first, and soon a servant came in and stood at the door. The Marquis said, "Go and ask Mr. Child." After the servant left, the Marquis explained, "Mr. Child has been promoted to a level 5 word spirit by predicting the sudden change of Cotter Port. He has been in charge of the secrets of the Golden Anchor family since my father, and Mr. Child has always been in charge of the intelligence about the royal family." Rudolph nodded and understood what the Marquis meant. Mr. Child is a word spirit serving the Golden Anchor family. He used to be a level 4 word spirit. The sudden change in Port of Cotter was Mr. Child's secular divination. With the help of the Golden Anchor family, this secular divination became a reality. Port of Cotter did undergo a sudden change, which allowed him to be successfully promoted. Mr. Child is really lucky. The royal family is the lord of all nobles. The nobles attach great importance to their relationship with the royal family. It is what every noble wants to do to obtain as much information as possible from the royal family. The great nobles will send people to stay in the capital to obtain first-hand information. If the king likes to wear stockings, a month later, nobles across the country will be proud to wear stockings. The nobles below can put these things shown by the royal family on the table for discussion, but the deeper secrets, the nobles will try their best to obtain them through their own methods, but they cannot let the royal family and other nobles know. Mr. Child quickly entered the study of the Marquis. After saluting the Marquis and the Furnace, he sat on the sofa opposite Rudolph. Mr. Child grew up watching Marquis Palu, who always treated him as an elder in the family and respected him very much since he was a child. Judging from his demeanor, he was very relaxed here, unlike other officers and nobles who met the Marquis. "Mr. Child, Mr. Furnace wants to know the news about the royal wizard of the royal family. You know the most about this. Please tell Mr. Furnace about it." Child recalled the previous intelligence and said slowly, "As far as I know, the royal wizard of the Elba royal family is an Aries wizard." The muscles under the corners of Rudolph's eyes suddenly trembled. It was indeed an Aries wizard. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 599. Aries wizards are very, very special. Their specialness lies in. Child suddenly asked Rudolph, "Mr. Furnace, do you know about immortality?" Rudolph nodded, "Yes, Aries wizard Ptolemy achieved immortality and became the lord of Mars in the battle to expel the evil god." Child nodded. Since Furnace knew about immortality, he didn't need to explain these secrets. He continued, "Aries wizard Ptolemy achieved immortality. Since then, the number of Aries wizards has become very, very small." Rudolph particularly agreed with this sentence. He had only seen one Aries wizard, that is, the Pillar of Creation wizard Nadav, who warned him at sea. Since Ptolemy took control of the war, all Aries wizards similar to Ptolemy have improved their abilities. "Mr. Furnace, you are very powerful, but other apostles agree that Aries wizards are unique among wizards and stronger than other wizards. The knight's ability to challenge a higher level is determined by the characteristics of extreme power. According to the information we have collected, although Aries wizards cannot completely fight against apostles of a higher level, they are definitely much stronger than apostles of the same level." We guess that after taking control of the war, the abilities of Ares wizards following Ptolemy have been enhanced. Hearing these words, Rudolph suddenly remembered that among the forbidden techniques he mastered, only the fire-related forbidden techniques had the ability to surpass the same level. For example, Rudolph's current shooting finger fire is equivalent to the power of a level 7 alchemical bullet. Other forbidden techniques, whether water-related or wind-related, can only be regarded as abilities of the same level at most. Could these changes also be due to Ptolemy? Mr. Child continued, Ares wizards are very rare because the awakening of Ares wizards must meet two conditions. The first condition is that the wizard apprentice must awaken in the wizard's Ares month, which is April. This condition is relatively common. The second condition is difficult, which is that the wizard must awaken on the battlefield. Awaken on the battlefield. This condition surprised Rudolph very much. The battlefield is dangerous. It is outrageous for ordinary people to awaken on the battlefield with starstones. Wizards are already hated by everyone. They also watched the wizard apprentice awaken on the battlefield. Wouldn't the officers and soldiers passing by give the wizard apprentice a hand? Yes, you must awaken in the chaos of the battlefield. You cannot awaken as an Ares wizard apprentice in a fight with others. The secret of immortality is not something that ordinary apostles can spy on, but I guess the biggest difference between Ares wizards and other wizards is that Ptolemy has mastered the power of war, so that future Ares wizards will have abilities related to war. Rudolph finally understood why he had never seen an Ares wizard. It turned out that the awakening of an Ares wizard was so demanding. He could imagine that an Ares wizard could hardly awaken naturally or awaken by accident like Rudolph, and could only awaken with the help of an Ares wizard. Ares wizards participated in the war, then selected wizard apprentices from the soldiers, and finally helped the selected apprentices awaken in the war. On the battlefield, weapons flew and blood flowed. An Ares wizard looked at a wizard apprentice and asked the apprentice to awaken with a starstone. This scene must be very out of place on the battlefield. Wait, this war must be fought at night. Oh, yes, your addition is very correct, it must be a war that takes place at night. Child continued. Back to the royal wizards of the royal family, the royal court teachers and royal wizards of the royal family are generally Ares wizards. After the royal family launched a war, it was very easy to find and contact Ares wizards, so it was not surprising that Ares wizards appeared in the palace. I don't know the specific reason why the royal family cooperated with Ares wizards. It may be that Ares wizards have certain abilities related to war, which can help the royal family win in the war. This is also the reason why the royal family does not allow vassal nobles to contact Ares wizards. The reason is that the right to start a war must be firmly in the hands of the royal family. The Golden Anchor family and other noble families have never come into contact with Ares wizards. This is a taboo for the royal family. When I was young, I followed the royal astrologer in the royal capital to learn divination. I saw a royal wizard from a distance in the palace. He was a wizard with a goatee, and I didn't know his name. I heard from my teacher that Ares wizards like to have goatees and wear sheepskin robes, which are easier to identify. The Ares wizard that Mr. Child met when he was young should not be Nadab that Rudolph had seen. Nadab looked less than 40 years old, and Mr. Child was already in his 60s. Rudolph understood that the Golden Anchor family told Rudolph everything they knew, because Mr. Child said that the royal family did not allow vassal nobles to contact Ares wizards, and the Marquis had no way to contact Ares wizards. Thank you very much, Mr. Child. This information is very useful to me. Neither the Marquis nor Mr. Child asked Furness why he wanted to know about Ares wizards. Competition among wizards is very fierce. Maybe Mr. Furness needs a special Ares wizard relic. This idea is too dangerous. No matter how good the relationship between the Golden Anchor family and Furness is, it is impossible to help Rudolph hunt for an Ares wizard relic. After leaving the Marquis's palace, Rudolph walked towards the port. This night happened to be a full moon night. To be honest, Rudolf didn't like the city very much, because there were many people and apostles here. The full moon night always made Rudolf's mind ring with a lot of whispers. Rudolf no longer needed to use whispers to find apostles to hunt for relics, so whispers became a simple burden, making him uncomfortable. "Rudolf, where are you? It hurts." A certain murmur suddenly caught Rudolf's attention, and he hurriedly increased his speed. This murmur seemed to have been uttered by Ivan. When Rudolf returned to the volcano, he found Ivan standing on the deck looking to the west, with cold sweat on her forehead and her body shaking slightly. Rudolf walked over quickly and asked her, "What's the matter, Ivan?" "I seem to hear some strange calls, like the call of the Wolf King, but the distance was too far and it was not very real." "The call of the Wolf King? The kind of call that can control low-level werewolves. This is the port of Kotor. There shouldn't be high-level werewolves around." Rudolf asked doubtfully, "Which direction is the call coming from? Let me go and take a look." "There must be no high-level werewolves in the Royal Navy. If there are, the Marquis of Golden Anchor will tell Rudolf." "Could it be that there are high-level werewolves in the Constitutional Army that is confronting the outside? If this is really the case, it would be simple. Rudolf and Ivan do not need to go to the wilderness and can be promoted here. It's not nearby, I think it's the far west, in the direction of the wilderness. Can the call in the wilderness affect you here? It seems like this is the first time I've encountered this kind of situation, and I'm not entirely sure. In the werewolf tribe, low-level werewolves will be attracted by the Wolf King's aura and obey the Wolf King's orders. But Ivan has never joined a werewolf tribe, so why did she feel the call of the Wolf King? After being promoted from Ivan to level 5 Wolf King, you will no longer lose your mind on full moon nights. I don't know what is strange about this full moon night, why Ivan can hear the call in the wilderness. I hope there won't be any accidents in the wilderness and that it won't affect Ivan's promotion." In the second half of the night, after 12 midnight, Rudolf stayed with Ivan to help her spend this special full moon night. Ivan has been fighting against her animal nature, and it is obviously not as easy as before. Although she did not turn into a werewolf, her body was shaking all the time. This full moon night made Ivan very painful. It was not until around 4 o'clock in the morning that bright light appeared in the sky, and Ivan's condition improved a lot. The exhausted Ivan fell into a deep sleep. I don't know what happened in the wilderness to have such a great impact on Ivan in Kotor Port. Rudolf felt that something big was happening. The warning from the pillars of creation and the influence of the wilderness on Ivan all proved that there was an undercurrent surging on the continent. After daybreak, Rudolf arranged things for the volcano and the giant, preparing to go to the wilderness as soon as possible to help Ivan get promoted as soon as possible. There are many flags hanging on the volcano, including 26 letter flags, 10 number flags, 1 answer flag, etc. In addition to these, there are also port flags that need to be used when entering the port. If it is your first time entering a port, you need to obtain permission from the port. This habit was brought out by the Navy. If the Navy wants to visit other countries, it will fly the flag of the corresponding country when entering other countries. Gradually, there were more and more flags on the ships, so that people called the colorful flags on the ships Wankai. Following the flag of Golden Anchor Port, Volcano Shipping Company once again obtained the flag of Kotor Port. In the future, this flag can be flown before entering the port, eliminating a lot of inspections. The Golden Anchor family even granted Volcano Shipping Company an official exclusive shipping license. In fact, it is impossible not to be exclusive, because other shipping companies do not have the power to transport military supplies for the Royal Navy on the Sargasso Sea. If other shipping companies dare to smuggle military supplies, they will be beheaded by the Constitutional Army if caught. The furnace's neck is very hard, and it would be too difficult to decapitate him. Even if it is beheaded, Rudolf's head will still grow back. Volcano Shipping Company occupies the identity of a civilian ship, and can communicate in a more flexible way when encountering the Constitutional Navy. If the Royal Navy transports it itself, it will have to be escorted by warships throughout the entire journey, which is too costly. Therefore, the emergence of Volcano Shipping Company is a powerful supplement to the Royal Navy's logistics. When bidding farewell to the Marquis of Golden Anchor, Rudolph said, "Mr. Marquis, I will take my ship to a port controlled by the Alchemy Council. I hope to formally talk to the people of the Alchemy Council to see if I can get them business permission, so we no longer have to worry about the threat of the Constitutional Navy. Okay, this is best. This way your trading company will be more free." While small ship dealers were still bribing the military to secretly smuggle goods, large ship dealers were already going to the port to ask for licenses openly. Since Mr. Furness has such a plan, let me also give the Constitution Army a gift. I have a lot of ashes of the Constitution Army soldiers. After every battle, we will cremate the remains of the Constitution Army soldiers and keep them. The soldier's nameplate. You can bring it over and help us exchange the ashes of the Royal Navy soldiers. Now the communication channels between the two parties are completely interrupted. I have always had this idea, but I have no way. This is even better. Thank you, Lord Marquis. This way I have a more legitimate reason to enter the port of the Alchemy Council. The volcano and the giant left the port of Cotter, and the pirate ship was bought by the Royal Navy at a high price as a favor to the Furness. After leaving the port of Côte d'Or, the two ships continued sailing westward. After sailing on the sea for half a day, they encountered the navy of the Constitutional Army. During the half-day voyage, the Constitutional Army pressed hard. After signaling the negotiation flag, the volcano allowed the Constitutional Navy to approach. However, the Constitutional Navy was even more nervous than the volcano. They were so nervous that when they exchanged intelligence with other warships in the morning, they knew that the Furness's shipping fleet was cruising nearby. Unfortunately, what they feared came true. They encountered the Furness's shipping fleet. After seeing the flag of the Volcano Trading Company in the telescope, the captain swallowed hard. "Try to get closer. See what the Furness wants to talk about." Rudolph flew to the Constitutional Army's ship. After accommodating the Villa secret, Rudolph could fly during the day and no longer rely on Vanya's bat wings. He took out a document and handed it to the captain with a nervous and serious face. Behind the captain were fully armed soldiers and rockets that had been turned on. Seeing these alchemical weapons again, Rudolph was no longer afraid. While the captain was carefully guarding against the Furness, he lowered his head and quickly scanned the document. The content of the document surprised the captain. It was an unsigned document, which expressed admiration for the sacrificed soldiers of the Constitutional Army. These soldiers were once the subjects of His Majesty the King, and they should be buried in the land of their hometown. After learning that the Furness really had no ill intentions, the ship signaled the officers behind him to remove the alert. "Mr. Furness, are you sending back the ashes of the soldiers for the Constitutional Army?" "Yes, the Marquis of Golden Anchor believes that these noble and brave soldiers were also the subjects of His Majesty the King, so he asked me, the middleman, to send back the ashes. The Marquis has a hope that I can also bring back the ashes of the Royal Marines for him. The Royal Navy will not leave ashes after the defeat, because the soldiers will sink with the ship, and there will only be a sunken ship. The Marines are different. If there is a certain war morality, then the ashes are likely to be preserved." Cold sweat ran down the captain's head. They are not as hypocritical as the nobles. What should they do if they don't preserve the ashes of the Royal Navy soldiers? Forget it, let's take the Furness back to the port and see how the headquarters responds to the nobles' request. The nobles are so shameless that they actually asked for an exchange of ashes. The alchemists have been in power for too short a time, and they are not as cunning as the nobles. They can think of using this method to hit the morale of the Constitutional Army. If he guessed correctly, the news would spread everywhere soon. The furnace, as an intermediary, sent back the ashes of the sacrificed soldiers of the Constitutional Army, but the Constitutional Army could not produce the ashes of the sacrificed soldiers of the Royal Marines. This would make the Royal Navy more united against the enemy and would also make the Constitutional Army lose a move morally. When the captain entered the cabin of the giant and saw the neatly arranged urns with soldier nameplates on them, he cursed the hypocrisy of the nobles and felt a little ashamed. As far as he knew, they could not produce many Royal Marines' ashes. The two ships of the Volcano Trading Company followed the Constitutional Navy and headed for the port controlled by the Alchemy Council, Oyster Bay Port. With the guidance of the warship, it was very easy to enter the port this time. This port is famous for its abundant oysters and is now the closest port to the front line. The Constitutional Navy had already received the news. They held a grand ashes handover ceremony at the port. Soldiers took down urns one by one from the giant and prepared to send the ashes back to their hometowns and their loved ones according to the nameplates on the urns. After the handover ceremony, a lieutenant general of the Constitutional Army found Rudolph. "Mr. Furnace, we need some time to prepare the ashes of the Royal Marines' sacrificed soldiers. I hope you can wait for us for a while." The lieutenant general's face was full of sweat, not because he was afraid of the furnace, but because they could not take out the enemy's ashes in a short time. "It doesn't matter, I can wait for a while. I just want to go to the wilderness west of the Kingdom of Elba. You have plenty of time to prepare before I come back." Hearing this news, the lieutenant general's staff officer breathed a sigh of relief. "Mr. Furnace, I will apply for a license for your shipping company right now. Your shipping company can sail freely in the ports of the Parliament in the future. But please be careful not to involve military supplies, which is illegal." The last sentence was not taken seriously by the speaker or the listener. They all knew that Furnace would become the largest smuggler on the Sarago Sea. After obtaining the Oyster Bay port flag and a license, the Volcano and the Giant set off for the Eagle's Beak Peninsula. Go north from the Eagle's Beak Peninsula to leave the peninsula, then go west through a province to enter the wilderness, where you can find a level 6 werewolf for Yvonne to be promoted. 2 in 1. I wrote 170,000 words in July, breaking my record. I hope to break it again in August. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 600. In the southern part of the Eagle's Beak Peninsula, at Belfour Port, where the county town is located, two large merchant ships slowly entered the port. The appearance of these two merchant ships caused a sensation in the port. The port flags hoisted on merchant ships are too rare. It is normal to hoist the Oyster Bay port flag, but the two ships actually hoisted the Cotter port flag and the Golden Anchor port flag. Isn't this a port controlled by the nobles? How long has it been since the people of Belfour Port saw ships from Cotter Port and Golden Anchor Port? Oyster Bay Port and Cotter Port are both military ports, so which of these two ships went to Cotter Port first or Oyster Bay Port first? After seeing the port flags of the hostile forces, how dare the second military port grant the two ships permission to enter the port? The strength of these two ships is terrifying. The captains and people in the port have been asking which shipping company is so powerful. When the Volcano and the Giant docked, everyone also found out the key information. It turned out to be a shipping company founded by the former pirates Furnace and Green Skull. This explains why they could come and go freely when they were pirates, and now they can come and go freely as a shipping company. Rudolph found Mackenzie. "Mackenzie, contact the Chamber of Commerce here to see if you can buy some goods at a low price and fill the Giant. It always feels like a loss to move around empty." In addition to being the first mate of the Volcano, Mackenzie is also the manager of the shipping and trading company. He replied, "Okay, Captain. But aren't we going to transport the ashes of the Royal Marines who died? Don't we need to leave enough space?" Not really. Judging from the constipated look of the Constitutional Army's staff officer, the Constitutional Army can't take out much ashes, so leaving 2 cabins is more than enough. I see, Captain. Rudolph added. By the way, Mackenzie, within the company establish an Apostle Development Fund. The company will bear the resources needed for company employees to be promoted to level 5 apostles. Those who apply for this fund will have half of their salary deducted until the company pays off the part paid on their behalf. This time, you can purchase materials in Belfour Port. You can choose what you need for promotion. If you can't find it on the market, you can go to the Black Gold Exchange. I will go to the Black Gold Exchange in the evening and tell them in advance. The Furnace Pirates, no, the habit has not changed yet. Now it should be said that the Volcano Shipping Company, with the promotion of Rudolph and Cooper, the resources they can provide have also increased a lot. For example, Rudolph will have more say in the Black Gold Exchange now, and the level of the crew should also be improved. Okay. Captain. Mackenzie thinks that the captain of the furnace is amazing. According to the captain of the furnace, the Black Gold Exchange should also give the captain some face. Rudolph activated the Black Gold Exchange chess piece left to him by Celine. Regardless of whether today is the trading day of the Black Gold Exchange, the Black Gold Exchange will open the door for Rudolph, and Celine will also open a small door for Rudolph. Soon, the chess piece got a response, and Rudolph walked towards the direction of the chess piece. Just after walking out of the dock, Rudolph found that there were a lot of beggars around. There were many beggars on the roadside, they were in groups of 3 or 5, leaning against the corners dejectedly, which made Rudolph very confused. It shouldn't be, Belfour is a prosperous city, and it is not difficult to find a job. Why are there so many beggars here? Soon, Rudolph noticed the disabilities of these beggars. This was not a disability after encountering misfortune, but a disability after self-mutilation. Painful believers. Why are there so many painful believers? Rudolph looked around and immediately found the key information. In front of a notice board, several captains were recruiting crew members. Tonight, smuggling in the southern continent is particularly rampant. The Navy's strength is not enough, and now we are temporarily recruiting crew members to crack down on smuggling. When they heard that it was to crack down on smuggling, the people around the notice board squeezed forward, and they were all very excited. Smuggling in the southern continent? Rudolph suddenly remembered the warning of the Pillar of Creation. The evil god cult really gave up using war to open the door to the northern continent, but used smuggled believers to slowly infiltrate and then look for other opportunities. After leaving the port, Rudolph entered the city of Belfour. He found that there were many homeless believers in the depths of the streets and around the trash cans. Most believers have obvious characteristics, such as the bald heads of white devil believers, the self-mutilation of painful believers, etc. Those who gather with these people are believers of other evil gods. These believers are very troublesome. They can't be killed all. After civilization develops to a certain level, no one dares to use this method. Rudolph came to the Black Gold Institute, and Celine was waiting outside early. "You are finally here, Mr. Furnace." "Oh, I went to the sea area of the United States of Canada for promotion some time ago. It took some time." Celine didn't know what to say, as if to Mr. Furnace, promotion was just a trivial matter that could be completed by going out. The Black Gold Institute in Belfour is located in a luxury hotel. Celine took Rudolph directly to the luxury suite on the top floor. After taking a comfortable bath here, Rudolph lay on the soft sofa and enjoyed the cool breeze in the suite. It is very uncomfortable to sail on the sea for a long time. It is more comfortable to live on the shore. At least you don't have to look at the boring waves and squeeze in a small cabin. Celine took out a map and spread it in front of Rudolph. This is a wilderness power map. Rudolph saw the boundary range of the werewolf tribe, the location of the Blood Clan castle, etc. on it. Before leaving, Rudolph told Celine that he needed a wilderness power distribution map. Very good, Celine, the Black Gold Institute is very well informed, and you can get all the information about the deep wilderness. After paying the price of the map, Rudolph said, I will let my crew members participate in the transaction of the Black Gold Institute in a few days. I hope you can help collect the items they need for promotion. My shipping trade company is very rich. The money paid by the Golden Anchor family alone can cover the promotion needs of the crew members this time. Okay, Mr. Furness, I will ask the transaction host here. One more thing, Celine, why do I see so many believers in Belfour City, what happened at sea? Speaking of believers, Celine's face is also disgusted. Mr. Furness, the ancient Sea Wizard Association has completely surrendered to the evil god cult. I heard that the evil god church provides one relic for the promotion of the level 7 wizard Belat. Now the Martini group has become the transit point of the evil god cult station. The evil god cult settled a lot of believers on the Martini Islands, and then organized these believers to smuggle here. The number of those believers is endless, and countless small boats row to the shore every day. More importantly, the people of the evil god cult bribed some parliamentarians, who said that the believers who smuggled in could make up for the labor gap and the believers could be used as cheap labor. I heard that the two sides in the parliament were about to quarrel. The parliamentarians who wanted to strictly prevent the smuggled believers and the parliamentarians who wanted to accept the smuggled believers were arguing. One side scolded the other for being short-sighted, and the other side scolded the other for being inhumane. This matter became the biggest trouble in Belfour. Indeed, when you see a smuggling boat, you can't just sink it on the shore. After all, it's a boat of lives. The ancient Sea Wizard Association joined the evil god cult because of a relic that Belat urgently needed. The Martini Islands are only 50 nautical miles away from here, and it has become a springboard for believers to smuggle. After Mr. Furness thought for a while and his expression was not so serious, Celine came up. Mr. Furness, your chess pieces gave me a hint, I have already shuffled them. Washed? Which parts have been shuffled? Everywhere has been shuffled. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 601. After getting the map at the Black Gold Institute, Rudolph returned to the port and prepared to head to the wilderness with Yvonne as soon as possible. However, he discovered that all the lights on the volcano were on in the middle of the night. Captain. There are believers climbing up the side, trying to climb onto the ship. This was not only the case on the Volcano and Giant, but also on other ships in the port. I heard from other captains that these believers not only wanted to infiltrate Balfour Port, but also wanted to follow the ships to other places, Mackenzie said. This is troublesome. The methods of the evil god cult always make people feel psychologically uncomfortable. These believers are also human beings, so they can't be killed just because they want to climb onto the ship. The volcano caught these believers climbing on the side and could only give them a lesson and throw them ashore. Just when there was chaos on the volcano, Rudolph turned around and found someone coming to the dock. The visitor is an acquaintance, Duke, the director of the trial hall of the Eagle Beak province. A sonic boom sounded in the air, and Rudolph suddenly appeared in front of Duke. Duke glanced at the volcano and estimated the distance from the volcano to here. It was more than 500 meters. The furnace was getting stronger and stronger. I was just worrying about how to see you, but I didn't expect you to find me now. I have several spiritual relics that allow me to sense things related to me immediately, and your sight is one of them, Rudolph said. Director Duke, I am very calm when I come to the Eagle Beak Peninsula this time. I am not going to do anything out of the ordinary. I am just passing by here and then going to the wilderness. Our company is a law-abiding shipping company. It will not damage our company's goodwill. Mr. Furness, the problem now is that you don't do anything extraordinary, which makes it very difficult for us to handle. Oh, hearing this statement, Rudolph became interested. Do you have any political enemies that I need to clean up? If the price you give is high enough, I can consider it. Which deputy speaker of your province is this? Could it be the provincial speaker? The price is too high. No, no, no. Not political opponents, not people within our ranks. Who is that? It's Bellet, the level 7 wizard from the Martini Islands. Rudolph shook his head and rejected Duke directly. He had just been warned by the Pillar of Creation not to target the evil god cult again. The evil god cult is using the Martini Islands as a springboard to allow a steady stream of believers to sneak into the northern continent. At this time, dealing with the Martini Islands is to deal with the evil god cult. Rudolph does not want to commit crimes despite being warned just now, so he decisively rejected Duke. Rudolph was not prepared to confront the Pillars of Creation head-on before he investigated the information about the Pillars of Creation. The Pillars of Creation is an organization founded by Yang Shen, who is a more powerful existence than the evil god. Rudolph himself has mastered 3 fire forbidden arts. He knows how powerful high-level forbidden arts are. Now he is certainly no match for the Pillar of Creation. Judging from the fact that the Pillar of Creation can easily find him on the vast sea, he may not even be able to escape from the Pillar of Creation. No matter which way you look at it, it is better to stay dormant temporarily and observe the situation. Fortunately, there was a cloud about Rudolph that others could not understand. The Pillars of Creation guessed that there was an immortal behind Rudolph, so they just warned him, otherwise they would not be polite to Rudolph. If you are a coward, then be a coward, there is no shame in it. Rudolph and Duke said. The wizard stopped me when I went to the southern continent, and I used Wells relics to take revenge. Now we are even, no matter what the ancient sea wizards think, at least I think we are even. I won't start the war lightly again, it's not necessary. Let the hatred stop here, otherwise the hatred will accumulate in the continuous revenge and eventually destroy me and the Guhe Wizards Association. We must learn to be a generous person and let each other go. Mr. Furnace, we'll give you a reward you can't refuse. Then don't say it yet. As long as you don't say it, I won't know what the reward is, and then I won't fall into the hesitation that I can't refuse. Seeing that the melting pot was so resolute, Duke had no choice but to do anything. Rudolph added, Director Duke, you must know about Redbeard Island. My port is gone, and now I run a shipping trading company. You alchemists know best about business. Making enemies rashly is not conducive to my business. Why would I want to hit someone else's Martini Island? This is not in line with my status as a businessman. Duke shook his head. Not only would the furnace not deal with the Martini Islands, the reasons he gave were also somewhat absurd. Being generous and doing business were both things that were not in line with the furnace's character at all. That's a pity, Mr. Furnace, you lost a level 7 relic. It's not that regrettable. I will have level 7 relics sooner or later, and there will be many more. Duke only felt a chill on his back. How many level 7 apostles could there be? The furnace wanted to have a lot of level 7 relics, so many big shots couldn't sleep. Please go back, Director Duke. When I come back from the wilderness, I will leave here and I won't cause you any trouble. If you have any trade needs, you can contact my manager Mike and CA. After seeing off Director Duke, Rudolph returned to the volcano. There is little risk in asking the Marquis of Golden Anchor about the Ares wizard. The Marquis of the Golden Anchor will keep it a secret for him. Rudolph would not dare to ask about the Ares wizard rashly in front of Duke. As a participant in the war, Rudolph suspected that there were Ares wizards in the Alchemy Council. Those Ares wizards might be advisors or friends of a certain great alchemist, influencing the Alchemy Council. After making simple arrangements for crew promotion and cargo transportation, Rudolph took Ivan away from the volcano. At the bow of the volcano, the crystal-clear Starlight South ship appeared, and Rudolph and Ivan boarded the South ship. A flying ship, a starlight ship with a faint blue light, Its appearance half suspended in the air made the crew of other ships very envious. Look! A flying ship! That's the legendary Flying South ship. The myth of the South ship has been passed down to this day, and the starlight sails slowly swing, providing surging power for the ship. Under the gaze of everyone, the ship rose from the ground, almost straight up, and flew into the starry sky. Duke, the head of the Judgment Hall, looked at the departing South ship and was very distressed. Without the power of the furnace, are they going to fight the Martini Islands by themselves? It seems that this matter can only be put on hold for the time being, and wait and see if the top management can come up with a new solution. Above the clouds, under the night sky, the Starlight South ship cut through the clouds and flew all the way. The cold wind from the sky was isolated by the Starlight South ship. Rudolph and Ivan were in the cabin, discussing which werewolf tribe to look for on the map. The level 6 werewolves in this tribe are ordinary werewolves, which are easier to fight, but if they are ordinary werewolves, I wonder if they will affect your strength after the promotion. The level 6 werewolves in this tribe are mutant werewolves, which are a little difficult, but not too difficult. When the time comes, there is no need for us to be long-winded, just rush up. I will use the Starlight Long Snake Water Hydra to clear the way. No matter how big the werewolf tribe is, it is no match for the Starlight Giant Beast Hydra.